Okay, so video one was the what and the why of the deer process. This will be the how of the deer process. If I'm doing the deer process, I notice that I broke an agreement with you, or somehow it comes to my attention. Perhaps you express anger or disappointment or confusion in regards to an agreement that I have apparently broken. So either I proactively bring it, or it comes to my attention through whatever creative means you have to let me know, or uncreative reactive means, but somehow the message lands over here and I say, hey, I'd like to clean this up with you, and I think I'd like 5 minutes of your time to do that. Do you want to do that with me? Or are you open to doing that with me? And if so, when? Is right now a good time, or when would be a good time? And maybe you don't say 5 minutes, maybe you say 10 minutes. I don't think a deer process, it's the rare deer process that needs to go longer than 10 minutes, but you may as well have that space, especially when you're trying it out for the first time, and the second time, and the third time, and maybe the 8th time, and maybe the 9th time it's finally dialed in enough where you can be really efficient and feel complete with it. So you've told them what you want to do and why you want to do it, and you've asked them about the when. Is right now a good time, or another time is good? So then once everything's a green light and you give them their role, once you're at the time and place to do it, then you let them know that you're just going to share some things with them, and their job is just to listen, and you'll ask them a couple questions along the way. And even just those kinds of vague statements about context can have somebody feel relaxed and more connected to you. So, D, declare, I broke our agreement. No excuses, no apologies, no beating around the bush. And hopefully, eventually, no collapse into guilt or shame. Breaking agreements doesn't have to be connected to feeling guilt or shame about it. There can be a perspective that includes the reality that human beings who are very kind and good-hearted and well-intentioned sometimes break agreements. And that's okay. That's part of being human for most of us. And again, a good repair can make a relationship stronger than never having conflict in the first place. So remembering these things, you can simply declare, I broke our agreement. Open, neutral, I broke our agreement. Explore is E. Explore. What are you exploring? You're exploring the impact. You've taken responsibility, and you've said, hey, I realize that my action, or in this case, my lack of action, my lack of follow-through, has an impact on other human beings, and in this case, it's you. So would you be willing to share with me the impact of what my broken agreement did? And that's where you really get to listen and feel the impact and learn about the dynamics of connection and relationship, and be open to being impacted by their impact. So they say, yeah, it sucked in these ways, and I felt hurt in that way. And by the way, this is not the time to correct them in terms of owning their experience. This is not the time to disagree, debate, re-clarify. This is not the time for that. This is the time to listen to whatever they say and however they say it in terms of their impact. This is a time for you to be humble and just be open to getting their world about the impact. Not agreeing with them, Definitely not disagreeing with them, but just listening and getting what it's like for them. And then you might reflect that and let them know, wow, I hear that this was the impact on you. Is that right? And then when you make sure you've got it right, you can share the impact that your broken agreement had on you. You can say, I also have impact on myself. Do you want to hear that? And they can say yes or no. I'm swatting at mosquitoes out here. If they say yes, you can say something like, I'm disappointed in myself, or I'm impatient, or I'm angry, or I'm whatever I'm feeling about the fact that I, whatever, broke our agreement. That's the E. So you move on to A, amends. Amends. Amends is, I didn't do the thing I said I would do with you. Is there anything I can do now that would help fill in the gap between the expectation, the correct expectation that I would follow through on my word, and the fact that I didn't? What could repair that in terms of an action or a service that I could do for you? This could be anything. You could be creative. It really depends on what the broken agreement was about. Let's say it was about showing up on time for a meeting and you were late. And you get to this A part of it, the amends. And given that you being late had impact, maybe the amends is, hey, how would it be for me to not only be on time for the next 3 meetings, but you know what, I'll show up 15 minutes early and I'll be the one to set up all the chairs in the space, and you won't have to do it. How's that for an amends? Or, there's 100 different ways it could look, but I'm just going to stay at the level of the theoretical template or the process template. And then the R. The R is a really important step. It's where you get to either recommit, having heard, oh shit, big bug, having heard what the impact is, both on the other person and yourself, having gotten the fact that there was impact, that this is not a triviality at some level. Maybe you're going through an experience, maybe if I'm the one, maybe I'm going through an experience of feeling newly motivated to keep my agreements, or whatever is going on that would have me feel recommitted. Maybe I'm back in touch with why it matters to me in the first place. But I recommit. I say, please give me another try. I want to recommit to the same agreement, and let's do that. Or this is the time to be humble and say, you know what, I over-promised. I extended beyond my actual capacity. The agreement we made in the first place is not realistic. I didn't keep it this time. I know I'm not going to be able to keep it going forward either. So let's renegotiate a new agreement that's more realistic, that sets me up for success instead of almost guaranteeing failure, because I'll never will get myself out of bed at 6:30 in the morning to get to that meeting by 7:30. We just need to not schedule meetings at 7:30. Really, the earliest I could get there on time would be 8. So I want to renegotiate that. Our morning meeting started at 8 instead of 7:30, and then you check impact on the proposal, and together you renegotiate. So that's the end of the how for the DEAR process. Remember, at the beginning, you always check for their availability and understanding of what you're up to, setting context of the what, the why, the how, and the when before you launch into the process. Also, it's great to practice with small transgressions with people who are close to you, just to practice it, so that when there's a big transgression, if that happens, transgression meaning a broken agreement, when it's a bigger issue, you've practiced, and you're not trying to do this when it's really high stakes. So yeah, play with it, try it out. Let me know how it goes, and I can give some more tips if that seems useful.